Hey friends! Today is a great day to make homemade bread. I think any day is a great day to make homemade bread. But today is the day we are gonna make homemade bread. I'm gonna show you how easy it is. I love this recipe. It uses pantry staples. You've gotta have all these ingredients already, so it's just a no-brainer to make homemade bread. So let's get started. So I am using active dry yeast because that's what I have. You can use, if you have instant yeast or rapid rise yeast, that works too. If you have active dry yeast, we're gonna have to proof the yeast first, which is really easy. Just put 2 cups of warm water in a measuring cup. You could also use warm milk if you'd rather use milk instead of water, which would taste delicious. And we're gonna do a tablespoon of yeast in here, which is a pinch of sugar. And you let it sit for like 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll notice that it will start to foam and bubble on the top. So this is where we start. If you're using instant yeast or rapid rise yeast, you don't need to do this part. Just dump it right in your bowl with the other ingredients. So I'm gonna add this to my mixer. I'm using a stand mixer because this Bosch is the second love of my life. You can use just a bowl and a wooden spoon. If you wanna do it old school, you do not need to use a stand mixer. I just think it's easier. So we're gonna add the rest of our sugar, which is 1/4 cup. You could also use honey, which would be delicious. And then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of oil, and you could use melted butter, which would also be really good. And then we're adding 2 teaspoons of salt because, hello, that's where all the flavor in the bread is going to be really enhanced. And then we're gonna add our flour. So the thing with bread that's so simple, it doesn't matter where you live, you just need to pay attention to how much flour you're using and what the bread texture feels like. So if you're at a higher altitude, you might end up adding a little bit more bread. You can use regular all-purpose flour, or you can use bread flour. Either one will be delicious. Bread flour might have just a slightly chewier taste, which is really yummy, but if you have all-purpose flour, it works great. All right, we're gonna turn our mixer on, or you can just use a wooden spoon to mix it together. Okay, I see that it's starting to pull away from the sides of the bowl. It's a little sticky on the bottom. If I touch it with a clean fingertip, it's pretty sticky on my fingertip. So I'm going to continue adding a tiny bit more flour. Okay, we've got our gorgeous bread dough in here. It's really soft. You want it to be really soft. That's why we have to be careful not to add too much flour. We don't want it to be dense after it's baked. So it's really soft dough. And we are going to transfer it to a bowl that I've greased with some cooking spray, or you could use oil. And we're just going to roll it around to cover it in there to keep it nice and moist. And we're gonna let it sit on the counter to rise for about 1.5 hours. Okay, so we just finished the first rise. Look how gorgeous this looks. It's risen up nice and pretty. We're gonna punch it down. This helps to get rid of the air bubbles in it. So punch it down, and we're gonna divide the dough into 2 pieces. And I just flatten it out a little bit, kind of long rectangle, because we're just going to mold it into a log to go in our bread pan. And let it rise for another 45 minutes or so. We know the bread is ready to bake when it's risen just above the loaf pan's about 1 inch. Let's pop these into the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. The bread is ready. It looks amazing. I just brushed the top of the bread with some butter, and my house smells so good right now. Let it cool for about 10 minutes or so before you cut into it. And serve it with some fresh jam. I have tons of delicious jam recipes on my site. I hope you guys enjoy it. And let me know if you've made it for the first time, if you learned something new. Enjoy, you guys.